All right, people, we've got to get this going. We've absolutely got to get this going. Welcome, one and all, to the infinite regression. It's never been more infinite. It's never regressed so deep. Yes, you're a terrible person for ending up here, but I'm not here to put judgment on you. I am also here. I'm here to put a bow on this friggin' year. This horrible, god-awful, ridiculous year that we've all been through. I'm here to sum it up and move the frick on. Anyway, so, yes, let's do that. Let's do precisely freaking that. Yeah, we're actually looking for a new guy. There was an incident, in which I may have rearranged some of the facial bones of our friend Stan. And so Stan, well, he's threatened to sue both me and the show, so that's going to be fun in the coming year. And also, he's left us without a guy to say the beginning part. You know, the part that he says where he's like, "Ew, weekend typey fun, volume 31, or however he says it. Some nonsense like that. I don't know. I'm not a living cartoon and a liar and some sort of nut job for some ridiculous bullcrap. Fly by night, try to pretend to make you sober, but actually make you want to drink more than ever organization, So I'm announcing it here tonight. I'm announcing it. If you would like to be the guy, we're looking for a new guy. If you would like to be the guy, all you have to do is send us a self-addressed stamped envelope with a drawing of you as a dinosaur enclosed, and we will get back to you. The drawing of the dinosaur must be done by you and cannot be traced. It must be a work of original art. Send it to the address on screen now. Anyway, this is Weekend Type Fun, Volume 31, and I don't have a stand to yell at, so we're going to get right to it, and I'm not going to waste any time up here at the top. I'm not going to go around the room and be like, "Oh, Braxton, you're some sort of writer. Oh, look at Ian over here. He's a loser and also some sort of guy who does promotions, and oh, Chaz doesn't work, and he's the executive producer, and over here we've got Clarissa. We almost got married, and she's a lush, but she's also the showrunner, and Kaysen and Aiden with his douche canoe parents, and I'm not going to do the whole rigmarole. We're not doing that. That's not a thing that we're doing. Oh, by the way, Braxton, nice job making this whole front page look like a carton of Marlboro cigarettes. Yeah, it looks real nice. Looks good enough to smoke. Yeah, nice work, my friend. Anyway, yeah, your nice work will be reflected in your bonus. Anyway, yeah, make sure and look out for that. Yeah. So, without further ado, here we go. Getting into the show. I'm not kidding. We've got entirely too many slides and entirely too little time. Let's do it. Do it to it. Tonight's show with your host, as always, me, Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. You like that costume? We had a little fun down there at the costume department. I dressed up like Father Time. I was quite drunk at the time. Also, this just in, I'm telling you what, that Snoop Doggy Dogg, not a liar. Not that he was known for that or that anyone ever accused him of that, but I'm telling you, the man is onto something. I tried gin and juice for the first time tonight. That is factually accurate. I had never had gin and juice before tonight, and I was like, wow. This, first of all, goes straight to your head, and second of all, is delicious, which is why it goes straight to your head, because you drink it rather quickly, and pretty soon you're like, you know what? Rolling down the street smoking endo, sipping on this glorious concoction, laid back, with my mind on my money and my money on my mind. Yeah, I tell you what, this Snoop Doggy Dogg is onto some sort of newfangled, alternative way of life, a way of living that's free of cares and worries. Yeah, I put my trust in Stan before. See where that got me. I'm thinking this Snoop Dogg fella might know a thing or two about living life. That's who I'm hitching my wagon to. You just watch. Anyway, come on, Father Time, Rem, play the theme song. If you have time to do it. Braxton, that's a terrible pun, and I'll thank you to leave the punning to me. I'm the professional of the two of us, and so you'd be better off not. Okay, here we go. It's the theme song, the same one we always play, by our friends the Out of Tuners.
This is the theme. It is the only theme I ever sing, and this is the theme that comes and haunts my dreams. And when you hear this theme right now, you're going to fall in love with me. Cha.
Wow. Terrible as always, gentlemen. The Out of Tuners. If you want them, you can have them. Maybe we'll hire that out too. I know, Chaz, I know your nephew's in the band, but at a certain point, there's got to be quality and nepotism. You got to have both. And if you don't have both, well, then go get the quality and leave the nepotism behind. He can work the mailroom. Do we have a mailroom? Let's get one and then put him in it. Anyway, moving on. Here we go. This week's episode, 2021, a craptacular year in review. Boy, was it ever. Look, I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know. 2021 sucked ass. You know this. We all know this. That's why you're here. 2021 was a disaster, and this episode is going to sift through the rubble. Please, for the love of God, do not reverse Google image search whatever disaster this rubble is from. I grabbed it. I just searched rubble in Google image search, and thinking back, this is probably some terrible disaster in which a lot of people died, and I just please don't. It only occurs to me now, not before, when, I'm watching Braxton put it in the slides. Braxton, you should be ashamed of yourself. Anyway, with that in mind, January of 2021. What a month. Boy. Crazy things. Let's get into it. On January 1st of 2021, as it has so many times in the past, the simple flipping of a page on the calendar once again failed to solve all of our problems like we hoped it would. Despair continued its dominance in the hearts of all. It did. It continued unabated and continues to this day. On January 6th, depending on whom you ask, either a group of patriots took an unguided tour of our capital, or an angry mob of Trump supporters did exactly what their doofus of a leader told them to do, and they attempted, unsuccessfully, thank the freaking Lord. And when I say Lord, I mean Emmylou Harris, the one and only true God. Anyway, unsuccessfully attempted to overthrow American democracy. You know how we have that system where like we vote and then we have that stupid electoral system. Like if we just went with the vote, then these people would have had to face down the fact that their dude lost by a lot. By a lot. Like in some places, yes, by not as much. But nationwide, by a large number. Anyway, regardless, you know what's fun is, looking back at that tweet where Trump was like, oh, when will people realize how terrible the Electoral College was when he was complaining about Obama's second term win. And the funny thing is that Trump was assuming that, like he would later do himself and like Bush did before Obama, like all Republican, like practically all Republican presidents in my lifetime have done, where they lose the popular vote but win the electoral vote. But Obama didn't do that. He won both. But Trump was like, oh, this electoral college. Oh, goodness. Time really makes a fool of him again and again and again. But if you take it and you throw it in his face and are like, hey, look, idiot, here's what you said, he'd be like, yeah, that's fake news. And you're like, what? Anyway, he's Teflon because there's no depth to which he will not sink. Anyway, regardless, January 6th, a dark day for American democracy. And if you don't agree, go ahead and look into what actually happened on that day. It's messed up. Like, they murdered police officers and stuff. They were chanting, hang Mike Pence. They were chanting about killing the sitting vice president of the United States. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the idiots like Josh Hawley, who supported this angry mob, fled in fear and hid himself for hours while this angry mob took over the Capitol. Anyway, ridiculous. And we just found this week, sorry, I shouldn't have started with such political material. Oh boy, I'm getting all riled up. But January 6th is a day that should live in infamy because it's the first time since the American Revolution that our nation's capital has given way to insurgents, has been taken. You know what I'm saying? Taken by an armed group. And yes, they were freaking armed. Look it up. Anyway, so we just found out this week, with the whole Mark Meadows text and the January 6th investigation in Congress, the committee that's looking into that, we found out that the National Guard was supposed to be on standby, but the reason they were supposed to be on standby was to protect these freaking idiots who were trying to overthrow democracy. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why we weren't more prepared to stop these goons. Anyway, moving on. We got a lot. Anyway, January 8th, Tommy Lasorda, unfortunately known for his weight loss commercials, despite never seeming to lose much weight, and his long-standing feud with the Philly Fanatic, and not his 1,599 Major League Baseball wins and 2 World Series championships in his 20-year career managing the Los Angeles Dodgers, passed away. Tommy Lasorda, I mean, that guy was around, like, literally my entire life. and was managing the Dodgers for a lot of it. Really, no lie. You sort of just start to think a guy's going to be around forever. January 10th, 2021, in a shocking turn of events, Kim Jong-un defied early exit polls and won the election, becoming the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea. I mean, come on, did any of us really think he was going to win? Of course we did. It's a joke. Braxton, did you not? Braxton, you're supposed to include anytime it's a joke that you're like, oh, people want to understand that it's a joke. I want you to start putting in words like the ones I was doing just a minute ago, explaining that it's a joke so that people, because when you tell them, look, I'm the pro here. When you tell people, and this is a joke, and this is why it's funny, that's when they laugh. Look, you don't tell me where the ha-ha comes from. I tell you where the ha-ha comes from. Is your name on the show? Well, mine isn't either. It's called Weekend Type Fun, but the next part is with your host, Rem Pemberton. Is your name Rem Pemberton? Are you from the Clemson Pembertons? Oh, you are definitely not. We wouldn't let a guy like you clean our stables. Anyway, regardless, I'm telling you, explanations, they're golden. Comedy, gold. All right, back to it. So you see, it's a joke because he's an autocrat. He's basically can declare himself leader of anything, and the people would be like, yep, that's true. He could declare himself sole owner of the sky, and all the people would be like, yeah, our glorious leader, he owns the sky too, and nobody would oppose him. Anyway, he is seen here watching other people work, which is the most work he has ever done in his entire life. Now, there's so much to love in this photo. It's a few things. Number one, this guy is rail thin and probably doesn't get fed nearly enough. This guy is a fat old tub of lard and lives a life of luxury. And even while he lives a life of luxury, he has one of the, if not the worst haircut for any world leader alive today. Anyway, and other thing is like, look at this freaking lube. They're squirting lube into a barrel. And it's like, okay, this guy has to be wondering how much of this lube is going to end up inside this guy's rectum. I mean, not zero, right? The answer is not none. Anyway, it's a good picture. Just enjoy it. Just take a good look. It's one of the best pictures you're ever going to see of anything ever. I tried to find like video of this or a GIF of it. Nope. No, thank you, says the internet. I'm like the only one who's like, but can I see the big old ooze of lube? Some of which is definitely going up the glorious leader's butthole. Can I see any amount of that actually squirting out of the tube while the glorious leader looks on and laughs? Like, can I see that? I want to see it happen live. And the world said no. So, there is no God, first of all. Just kidding. Totally there is. There's, the one and only true God, Emmylou Harris. I mean, I've seen her. I mean, not in person, but I've seen video footage of her. And she's glorious and amazing. Anyway, moving on. On January 14th, member of the famed lion-taming duo Siegfried and Roy, Siegfried Fischbacher, whose last name you just learned when you heard me say it just now, passed away at age 81 after losing his long battle with cancer. Oh, now you feel bad. You were prepared for me to say ridiculous things about this man. Had a long battle with cancer. That changed your tune. Well, I'm sure the rest of this slide is very complimentary. His body was 81, but this version of his face was only 16 years old at the time of his passing. Braxton. You snuck that one in, you sly so-and-so. We're going to have words about this. This is an entertainment legend. Siegfried Fischbacher. I would have been proud to tell strangers at parties that I had this man's phone number in my phone. I didn't, and I don't, and now I can't, but I would have liked to have been able to say that. So you just back off with the tone-deaf jokes, okay? He is survived by a pack of ferocious beasts who, ever since the incident, have gained a taste for man-flesh. Siegfried is also famously had a taste for man-flesh, but not in the same way his big cats do. Now, that is verifiably true. Both of those facts, his big cat's taste for man-flesh, his taste for man-flesh, both legendary, both well-known. Good work. Good work on your journalistic integrity there. At least you got some of the facts straight. Okay, January 20th. Joseph Robinette Biden, whose middle name we did not know prior to the inauguration, was inaugurated as the 46th President of the United States. He took his oath of office on the biggest goddamn Bible you ever did see. I mean, look at that thing. Look at that thing. That thing's got, like, extra books. It's got, like, Maccabees you didn't even know existed. It's got, like, the gospel according to St. William and stuff. The gospel according to St. Roger. St. Roger, the not very well known. And he's like, I'm basically just going to copy mine from Marx. I'm just gonna do that, but it's gonna add bulk. Someday this testament of our Lord will add bulk to a Bible that most people who are Christians do not support, despite the fact that this man is very Christian. His predecessor, not Christian at all. Not even a little Christian. Couldn't even fake it. Went to Liberty University and was like, oh, the Bible is a great book. It's almost as good as the book that I had ghost written for me under my name. Worst, by the way, this is worst Trump impression you've ever heard. I spent 4 years listening to expert Trump impressions. I actually do voices, by the way. I do voices. I have a talent for doing voices. Will I do one for you right now? Sure. Why not do Zoidberg? That's a pretty good voice. Anyway, Fry, I told you I could do a voice, but like I friggin' Trump. There's no, I can't Trump it. Anyway, which makes me sad because I want to make fun of the man and the stupid things he says and does all the time. But that moron, that idiot, that nincompoop, that ninnyhammer, he friggin' went to Liberty University, the most Christian of universities in the United States, where they're like, yeah, the Bible and Jesus, you know, white Jesus and the Bible, which was originally written in English. There, yeehaw, that's what we believe, you know, Liberty University. He went there and was like, I'm going to read my favorite verse from 2 Corinthians. And it's like, you moron. Everyone knows it's not 2 Corinthians. If you say 2 Corinthians, that shows that you have never been inside a church ever. And you are quite possibly the dumbest pretend Christian of all time. Anyway, regardless, I just basically said what some of this slide says. But yes, Joe Biden's friggin' Bible was very large, and we are all kind of terrified about what sort of end-time secrets lie within its pages. Anyway, but yeah, so Christians in America responded to this very Christian man who, like, literally goes to church all the freaking time. They responded to him by saying, boo, we don't like him. And to the man who literally and actually and confirmed by multiple sources had his ass spanked by a porn star with a magazine that had a picture of his face on it mere days after his wife had given birth, less than a month after his wife had given birth. He was philandering with a porn star and being spanked on the ass with a magazine with his face on it. Coincidentally, the same porn star told us that Trump's penis, and you can look this up because I am not kidding, told us that Trump's penis looks like Toad from the Mario video game franchise. That is fact. That is part of the public record. Thank you very much. Anyway, so that man is the one that Christians are like, he was sent by the Lord, for the Lord did choose him, and he is basically unto us a second Messiah, like unto our Lord and Savior himself. And meanwhile, this freaking guy who actually tries to do some of the things that Jesus allegedly said is a persona non grata as far as Christians are concerned. It is the most baffling thing ever until you think about, like, oh, that's right, he's a Democrat. Oh, it makes no sense, but it makes perfect sense. Anyway, Biden's supporters hope he will be like Jimmy Carter, a bland and generally boring leader following a terrifyingly scandalous one. Braxton, that is correct. Once again, you have hit that nail on the head. Thank you, my good friend. Moving onward. Also on January 20th, Kamala Harris was sworn in as the first ever female vice president, as well as the first ever African American and Asian American and biracial and actively cool vice president in American history. Since taking her oath of office, she has done everything in her power to prove that the TV series Veep was more of an accurate documentary than any of us dared believe, which probably means that we owe Julia Louis-Dreyfus an award of some kind. I mean, just for still, I mean, she still looks good, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like, she's like 60 and stuff. And you're like, yeah, but still. She's got a real yeah, but still vibe going on. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, January 22nd, 2021. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons is signed by 53 nations, none of whom have any nuclear weapons whatsoever, so the world is safe now. No, for real. This treaty, prohibiting nuclear weapons worldwide, was signed by 53 different countries, but none of the countries that actually have any of the nuclear weapons signed the treaty, attended the treaty signing ceremony, sent people to watch the ink dry on the treaty. Nothing. Like the United States? No. Forget about it. You know, like Russia? Nope, not there. Yeah. China? Nope. I mean, honestly, what are we even doing at this point? January 2nd, 2021, Hammer and Hank Aaron, one of the greatest players ever to step onto the diamond, died peacefully in his sleep. And if you think I'm going to tell jokes about a man who endured a lifetime of racism, only to rise above it all and smash just about every baseball record in the books, you are sadly mistaken. I will, however, point out the fact that Hank Aaron defied the racist death threats he received at the time and smashed Babe Ruth's career home run record by 41 runs. That is fact. And you know what? Barry Bonds eventually beat him by not as large a margin, and we all knew Bonds was juicing, and Hank Aaron was playing clean. So, yeah, there you go. Who's your greatest hitter of all time? Who? You want to say Hank Williams? Like, okay, batting average-wise, like, the man was incredible. But you want to talk about knocking it out the park, this man right here, he's your guy. Anyway, moving on. January 23rd, 2021, legendary broadcaster and all-around exemplary human being Larry King died due to complications of COVID-19. He was a very young, 1 million years old at the time. He is survived by his 7 wives and 5 children. That is factually accurate. He had more wives than children. And the fact that his last wife was a practicing Mormon is an example of the delightful kind of natural irony life throws at you from time to time. And may I say, Larry King, you know, for all the jokes and all the jibes and all the, you know, people poking fun at him and whatnot, the man is a broadcasting legend. You actually sit down and listen to him do an interview, no one like him. No one. Very honest, open, direct. He would ask hard questions to people's faces and then listen to their answers and ask follow-ups. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't take the easy way out. He didn't equivocate. He didn't front load. He didn't, like, none of that stuff. He just asked the dang questions and got the answers that we all wanted to know. Like, if someone has been dodging stuff in the press and they wound up on Larry King Live, you're like, oh, we're going to find out now. Like, this is it. We're gonna get some freaking answers now. Because you didn't go on his show when you weren't prepared to tell everything. So, you know, yeah, really, really, truly will be missed. Anyway, January 26th, 2021, the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 exceeds 100 million worldwide, somehow upending the prediction made by our fetid pumpkin of a former president who actually declared on national television, and you can look this up, that the virus would go away in April of 2020 as the weather got warmer. For the record, we have a new variant of interest on the books here in December 2021. And COVID-19 continues unabated with no end in sight. A thank you very much, President Doofus. And if you think that's bad, just wait till you see what happened in February of 2021. Telling you, it's a whole thing. On February 1st, a coup d'etat removed Aung San Suu Kyi from power in Myanmar, just as she was threatening to grow a backbone in regard to the whole genocide against the Rohingya people thing. The coup led to widespread protests, strikes, and other actions, both violent and nonviolent, on the part of Myanmar's citizens, and Myanmar was so close to being a functional nation. Back to square one, I guess. Now, if you're looking at this picture and wondering, what the crap does this have to... Is that Aung San Suu Kyi? No, it's not. Would that it were, but it's not. That is actually a woman who has an aerobics YouTube channel, and she continued to record her aerobics workout as the military vehicles rolled up the street, the coup happening literally right behind her, and she's like, and 1 and 2 and hold and pick it up and move those knees. Just move those knees. All right, wear bright, shockingly annoying clothing and do dance moves that you could never do at a dance floor without being laughed out of the room. And hold, and 1 more, and 5 more, and here we go. Oh, my God. Hey, February 1st, 2021, former star of Saved by the Bell, an occasional professional wrestler and sex tape participant, look it up, Dustin Diamond, seen here in character as Samuel Screech Powers, passed away at age 44. Sadly, public interest in Diamond passed away in 1994 when Saved by the Bell, the new class, debuted. Braxton, that was tough, but it was fair. I'm declaring it fair. In bounds. In bounds, says the line judge. Hey, and by the way, when I was looking into this, I was like, was he really a sex tape participant? Well, Diamond himself actually said that it was a body double in the sex tape, which is a weird claim to make, but he also said that the tape got out when he and a bunch of Hollywood friends who trade in sex tapes got together for a party where they were swapping sex tapes, and he traded one of the people at this party the tape of him having sex, or the body double, or whatever you want to believe. Apparently that's a thing. Also, professional wrestler, yes, it's true. That happened. I also confirmed that. It's also true. Also, Saved by the Bell, the new class, that also actually happened and also made us all say, like, you know what? No, Zach, I think I've had enough Screech. We all jumped off the train all at the same time. Anyway, that's right. No Kelly Kapowski. Yep. Sorry. We're moving on. Okay, February 4th. President Joe Biden announced the end of weapons sales to Saudi Arabia, which were being used to worsen the effects of the civil war in Yemen, which is widely regarded as the greatest humanitarian crisis on the planet right now. Let me explain, because chances are you do not know this. But Yemen has an ongoing civil war, which Saudi Arabia is interested in backing one of the sides in that civil war and opposing the other, and so they are engaged in the practice of taking the weapons that we have given them and using them to bomb the crap out of Yemen. Yeah, it's true. They've amassed tons of troops on the Yemen border and are bombing and shooting them every freaking day and have been for a few years now. And here's the thing about that, is that the people of Yemen have nowhere to go. Look at the freaking geography of it, okay? Saudi Arabia is most of their border, except for the freaking sea. And what are you going to do? You're going to go to Somalia? Really? Like, and you'd have to, you're going to go to Djibouti, which is fun to say, but like, what are they going to do? Are they going to take you in? I mean, yeah, maybe you could cross the border into Ethiopia or Sudan at some point, but like, best of freaking luck. Also, you could flee to Oman, like, or Oman. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but you know what? Like, they've got nowhere to go. The most obvious place for them to go when under duress is into Saudi Arabia, which is that's the people that we are giving weapons to so that they can freaking murder these people. So what would normally be a refugee crisis is a crisis of people just being displaced within their homeland and being forced to gather in, refugee camps that are inside the country, and the conditions there are terrible. And there have been massive nationwide cholera outbreaks. And then freaking COVID comes, and it's like, oh, guess what? Cholera and COVID. And people are dying in droves, and, and of course the bombing doesn't help. And meanwhile, freaking, this is when President Trump was like, why wouldn't we give weapons to Saudi Arabia? They paid for them. And it's like, well, freaking first of all, Saudi Arabia murdered a journalist that was working for one of our newspapers. They murdered him. We know that they did it. And we know that the Crown Prince freaking made that happen. We can't continue diplomatic relations with a country under those conditions. And not only that, but we knew for a fact that our weapons, it's like freaking Tony Stark being shot at with his own stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, when he's realizing the actual damage that his weapons are doing. We are Tony Stark. Do you understand what I'm saying? The problem in Yemen is very bad, and we have had a big freaking bloody hand in it up until February 4th of this year, when we were like, no more, which, good, I guess. Yeah. So in response, Americans continue to not known. Wow, nice proofreading, Braxton. Good job, good work there. Americans continue to not know anything about Yemen or our nation's role in destroying lives there. But we're not doing it anymore, which is good, I guess. I guess if that's what you're into, then good. We didn't, we stopped punching a guy in the face, and so his face feels slightly better, I guess. Okay. On February 10th, world-renowned pervert and founder of Hustler magazine, Larry Flint, died of heart failure at age 78. Seen here in his gold-plated wheelchair, Flint proved to everyone that you could be rich, weird, perverted, and pathetic all at the same time. Flint is survived by 4 wives, 4 children, and a stack of dirty magazines with the pages stuck together. February 13th. Winter storm Uri slams into the eastern United States, killing at least 136 people. That toll has actually risen since this report. And causing 9.9 million power outages across the nation. In addition, this storm added evidence to my long-standing argument that winter is shit and should be abolished. And indeed it is. It's a shit time of year, and I hate it. February 17th. Renowned nutjob, recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, noisemaker and lump of flesh in vague human form, Rush Limbaugh lost his long battle with what we hope was some sort of demon that possessed him and made him say all those terrible things. For the record, he said on his show that COVID-19 was a leftist conspiracy invented to bring down Trump. So yeah, I guess his death was one good thing that happened in 2021. Take it as you will. February 19th. Undoing a portion of the damage done by his predecessor, President Joe Biden re-enters the United States into the Paris Climate Accords. This act showed the world that even though we elect maniacal demagogues from time to time, we will also elect a few semi-decent humans who will undo a portion of the damage done by the demagogues. So you can trust us in the long run. I think, if we all survive long enough to find out. Yay! February 25th. the worldwide death toll from COVID reaches 2.5 million, making it the largest death toll by any fake plot by the leftist Democrats to subvert the unstoppable, glorious reign of Donald Trump to date. And if you think that's rough, wait till you see what happened in March. It just kept marching on. I'm telling you, we tried to stop it from marching, but it marched. On March 2nd, the world's most famous rodent, Punxsutawney Phil, saw his shadow and declared that we would see 6 more weeks of winter. This particular winter, in addition to being the worst season of them all, had killed 237 people up to that point. Many people took to calling Punxsutawney Phil a rat bastard for causing 6 more weeks of interminable cold. Others understood that rodents, no matter how beloved, have no actual effect on the weather. March 6th, the world's most beloved pope, hint, it's not the one who was a former Hitler youth, and yes, he's still alive, met with Muslim leader Grand Ayatollah Sistani, seen here wishing death on everyone you know. While there is no official transcript of their meeting, some have reported that they compared hats, and even joked about which of their religions is more harmful to children. That's a tough call, honestly. March 9th, 2021, celebrated former conductor of the New York Metropolitan Opera and prolific sexual abuser James Levine passed away in Palm Springs in greater wealth, ease, and comfort than any of us non-sex criminals will ever live to enjoy. Perhaps Levine's greatest accomplishment was showing the utter absence of a just and loving God in the world. Hard to argue. March 16th. Since several states have legalized marijuana, the first studies of the effects of marijuana legalization have come in. And some of the notable findings are as follows. And this is true. This is from a meta-analysis of multiple reports on the effects of legalizing marijuana in multiple states. Number 1, marijuana has little effect on crime rates. Number 2, marijuana has no effect on traffic accidents, whether they be fatal or otherwise. Number 3, legalization has created 310,000 jobs nationwide. And number 4, taxes on marijuana have benefited education, which is true. In my own state, the marijuana tax, the largest slice of that tax goes directly into education, which is wonderful. I mean, feel how you want about legalized weed. I mean, it's, but I think the second one here, yeah, number 1 and number 2, like, can you say the same thing about alcohol? You know what I'm saying? Not that I am arguing for prohibition. We tried that and it was awful. But I'm just saying, like, if you're going to compare the two, and people do all the time, they're like, is marijuana worse than alcohol? Now, I happen to like alcohol, and marijuana is like, I've never smoked it, so there you go. That's information that you can have. But anyway, yeah, there you go. 2 things that definitely alcohol has a negative effect on crime and traffic accidents, but marijuana has little to no effect. So, take it as you will. On March 23rd, Ever Given, one of the largest container ships in the world, becomes stuck in the Suez Canal, disrupting the already weak global supply chain. Many took this image as a perfect metaphor for 2021 in general, and it's generally difficult to disagree with. The ship remains stuck for 6 days while workers labored around the clock to dislodge this mighty metaphor. Apparently, all of the AliExpress packages I expected to arrive before Christmas were on board. No, seriously, I still have my wife's main gift, the big one. It is still waiting to come in from China any day now. Also on March 23rd, beloved actor, perhaps best known for his long-running roles in the TV series Just Shoot Me and The Goldbergs, George Siegel passed away due to complications of bypass surgery. Siegel was a lifelong actor, beginning with his breakout role in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf in 1966, a role which earned him an Academy Award nomination. At his passing, Siegel passed his "Hey, I know that guy, and I like him in everything he does" torch to Richard Kind. Long may he hold it. On March 24th, beloved actress, best known for playing Lucille Bluth on Arrested Development and voicing Mallory Archer on Archer, Jessica Walter passed away at age 80. Interestingly, she played the ex-wife of George Siegel's character on Just Shoot Me, and the two died only a day apart. Anyway, I dare you to find me an actress who aged with more grace and was down to deliver any line, no matter how lewd, no matter how filthy, no matter how ridiculous, as Jessica Walter. Actually, don't even try. You can't. Like, she was the best. Watch Arrested Development, watch Archer, and it's like, the best. The woman was amazing and will be missed. On March 30th, renowned scumbag and quote-unquote mastermind of the Watergate break-in, G. Gordon Liddy, was dragged down to hell to join Nixon, Agnew, and his other cronies. The Dark Lord Satan has been reportedly anally violating Liddy with a backhoe every hour on the hour and has no plans to cease. This news brought smiles to the faces of many weary Americans who were really starting to buckle under the weight of existence in 2021. You look at this freaking guy's car. Okay, first of all, it's a Corvette. Second of all, H2O Gate. Are you freaking serious? This guy walking the streets, hum-de-dum, while, some guy who sold a dime bag in 1972 is still in jail. Ridiculous. Freaking ridiculous. And if you thought it would let up after that, wait till you see what happened in April of 2021. Yeah. On April 1st, despite warnings from the general public that we're tired of this shit, several major corporations, including Volkswagen, Subway, Heinz, McDonald's, Pringles, Lego, and Amazon, all held April Fool's Day pranks. No one was fooled by these pranks, and the general public continued to be annoyed by any and all past, present, and future ad campaigns put forth by any and all companies. We're all so tired. Please stop. You don't need to advertise anymore. Just put it in stores. Put it on Amazon. We'll find it if we need it. We will find it if we need it, but we don't need you to tell us anymore. Stop. On April 2nd, Russia warns NATO not to send any aid to Ukraine as they amass troops on the Ukrainian border. When questioned as to whether or not Russia intends to invade Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is so insecure in his sexuality that he made the sharing of this image on the right illegal, stated, "It's big secret. You will know if we intend to take back Ukraine when you see glorious Russian tanks rolling in streets of Kiev. Actually, I think it's pronounced Kiev. Yes, that is how I hear it pronounced on the news. Kiev." Anyway, regardless. See, I can do a voice or two, maybe an accent. It's not that great, but it's not nothing. You'd think I could do like a half trump. I can't even half trumpet. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna go cower in shame. I'm gonna go flog myself in the shower. No, not like that. Like, I'm going to, like, you know how you do when you're punishing yourself and you get your cat o' nine tails? No, not for happy times. Braxton, who hits themselves in the shower, their wet flesh, with a leathern strap with rocks tied into the ends that tear the flesh with every stroke? Who goes into the shower and does that to themselves for fun? Oh, you do? Oh, you pay an overweight German lady to do it for you? Oh, goodness. You know, I do it myself, but I don't enjoy it. Anyway, regardless, moving on. April 3rd. The French break up a ring of Lego thieves, which cracked wide open the entire world of Lego-based crime, primarily theft, black marketeering, and counterfeiting. And I'm not kidding, this is an actual thing. Criminal experts say they've never heard of a lamer way to illegally make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But no, seriously, limited edition Lego sets increase in price very quickly, making them a perfect target for theft and counterfeiting, and the criminals in this case could have easily made over $10,000 for the sets they stole in this incident alone. Have you tried to buy Legos recently? Forget about it. Braxton, that's a very stupid place to put a forget about it. You know it'd be better? Explain the joke. Tell the audience why, if they're not laughing, perhaps why they should be laughing. Perhaps there's some aspect of the joke that they have overlooked, and you have to tell them. No, remember, I am Captain Ha-Ha. I tell you where the ha-ha comes from, you do not tell me. As a matter of fact, I would like a chair. With Chaz, are you listening? I'm talking about my needs. I, your star, am talking about my needs. The things I need in order to do my job correctly. I'm going to need a chair with the words Captain Ha-Ha emblazoned on the back, and some sort of lightning bolt or flame decal indicating might and power, and also that maybe I have a cool motorbike of some sort. I don't, but like, it'd be pretty cool if people thought that I did. You know, motorbikes are dangerous. Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna need such an seat as this, and if you don't provide me with one, I'm just going to tell you that the upcoming contract negotiations, which you are going to enter into very soon, against my guy, you know my guy, Guy, he's my guy. It's spelled like guy, but it's pronounced Guy. Don't diss my guy. Guy's my guy. I'm going to have Guy come over here in a judo gi and show you what kind of a guy he is. You're going to see his gi flying all over. Guy's gi is going to make you a very messed up guy. He's going to turn you into a guy with a lot of hospital bills, I'll tell you that much. My guy Guy in his gi. This is going to happen. You don't freaking step to Guy, the guy named Guy, in his gi. Oh, jeez. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Braxton, this forget about it, terrible, and also I'm going to need a new chair. April 9th of 2021, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, and consort to Queen Elizabeth II passed away at age 99. Prince Philip was widely regarded as precisely the sort of douchebag that you get from inbreeding and a life of unimaginable privilege. But no, seriously, he once asked an Australian Aborigine if he, quote-unquote, still chucked spears. It's true, he really did that. And he also warned British students in China not to stay in China for too long or, quote unquote, you'll get all slitty-eyed. His life was all the evidence we should need to end the British monarchy. And look at this face. This is a face of inbreeding and ill temper. We don't need this. We don't need any more of this. You think the princes, the red-headed ones, the ginger princes, you think they're all cute now and they're married to, like, various women. I don't give a frick who they are. I can't remember either of their names. They're 1, 2, princes kneel before you. Talk about 1, 2, princes who adore you. But it's in his head now. Marry him or marry me? I'm the one about the candy. But do you freaking know the lyrics to that song? At a certain point, I swear to God, it's not lyrics anymore. It's just scat singing. I'm talking, of course, of the hit song Two Princes by the 1990s faux jam band The Spin Doctors. I say faux jam band because, like, who the frick wants to hear any of that but for like 20 minutes? You know what I'm saying? Like, I enjoyed it at the time. The first song of theirs I heard was Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. I heard it on Casey's Top 40. And I'm telling you, when I heard it, I was like, that's okay. I kind of like that, but I only like about 2.5 minutes of it, and then you gotta make it stop. And then I gotta not hear it for like a week. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to maintain this thing where I actually enjoy this, I can't hear it too often, and I can't hear it for too long. And then they just beat us over the head with it all through the 90s, and we were like, you know what? Maybe I don't like the Spin Doctors anymore. And we all agreed that we don't. And we don't to this day. What was I talking about? Oh, that's right. This freaking guy. I don't give a crap about his freaking... Are they his kids? His grandkids? Whoever's kids. The freaking redheaded ones that people were like, oh my God, they married and then they started having babies and one of them's going to be Queen of England. And it's like, I don't give a frick. We need to get rid of this monarchy because those morons are going to look like this because they're going to live forever because they never have to lift a finger to do freaking anything in their lives. And it's terrible. And we can't allow it to continue. Like, come on. Anyway, on April 9th, also, beloved rapper DMX, which is short for Dark Man X, which is a really cool rap name. You listening, rappers of today, with your juice boxes for the entire world, and your, ooh, I'm a lil this, and I'm a lil that. I'm a little guy who takes an Uzi submachine gun on a vert ramp with the skateboard, or maybe a Razor scooter. That's right, I'm a little Uzi vert. I get little and I take my Uzi on the vert ramp. Friggin' terrible, terrible rap names these days. Guys with a face like a friggin' like the record cover of Alice Cooper's School's Out. You know what I'm saying? The carved up school desk is what these rappers' faces look like. And they got names that's all like, I'm the Yeety Skeet Champ. And it's like, what the frick? Meanwhile, DMX. DMX. 3 letters. Pretty cool. But when you realize it stands for Dark Man X, which is like a whole Malcolm X vibe, is like, oh my God, this guy is serious. Anyway, okay, let's start it over because we did not get very far before I started tangentifying. I started with tangentification. And my God, look at the time. It's going to be stupid o'clock by the time I get to bed. Anyway, Beloved rapper DMX died due to complications from a cocaine-induced heart attack, which is precisely the way you'd expect someone like DMX to go. In the wake of his passing, millions of DMX fans were left wondering who was going to give it to them now. Now that, you know, because before, X gonna give it to you. But he can't anymore because he's dead. So if you're a DMX fan, who is going to give it to you? It's a joke. Braxton, master at work. It's a joke based on his hit record, you know, the one that we all know that we've heard in many movie soundtracks. Feels like Fast and Furious has used it. It's got to be in a Fast and Furious soundtrack. Hold up. As a matter of fact, I'm looking it up. Yes, I know it's a stupid tangent, but I'm looking it up. Well, this is disappointing. It wasn't used in any of the Fast and Furious soundtracks, but very importantly, it was used in the film Cradle to the Grave, and has been used in like a million fan remixes of footage from the Fast and Furious franchise. So, like, kind of counts? Not really. Anyway, moving on. April 11th, Israel came close to beginning World War III in new and exciting ways, not like those old tired ways they've been trying in Gaza. Ugh, getting a little tired of those, aren't we, guys? When they bombed the power system of a known underground Iranian nuclear facility. Iran then accused the state of Israel of, quote-unquote, nuclear terrorism. Luckily, most of us were too engrossed with biting our nails over the umpteenth COVID-19 resurgence of the year to notice how close we came to international thermonuclear war. Wow. Wow, I almost couldn't say that. Come on, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the tip of the tip of the tip of the tongue. Red leather, yellow leather. Yet I know I could do this off air. But no time like the present. Red leather, yellow leather. Unique New York. You get the frick out. I will do my exercises when I need to do them. Let the public hear. Let them know I'm a consummate professional. April 15th, 2021, in the middle of a global pandemic and at the request of literally no other humans, a U.S.-China science team injected human stem cells into the embryo of a macaque monkey, creating the first ever human-monkey chimera embryo. The image on the right is literally the first image that comes up when you type chimera into Google. I, for one, wish our new overlords well. We've tried plain old humans for long enough, and look where it's gotten us. All of that is true, by the way, and terrifying. April 19th, 2021, beloved songwriter and reason you enjoy Meatloaf's best albums so much, Jim Steinman, died after suffering a stroke. If you don't know Jim Steinman's musical legacy, you're missing out. But it's practically impossible that you haven't heard Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart or Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now, both of which were penned by the great Jim Steinman. Steinman was known for his grandiose operatic style, and there has been, nor shall there ever be, another like him. It's true. And just recommendations, if you're willing to take them. You know, by now you should have heard Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell 2. You can steer clear of Bat Out of Hell 3. Not as promised. But I'm telling you this, you want a good one that flies under the radar, a really, really great album that's got a lot of really great Jim Steinman work on it. Welcome to the Neighborhood. That's right, came out like 1996, I want to say, and it is fan-damn-tastic. And it's a great example of the kind of stuff that Jim Steinman was known for. Anyway, Jim Steinman, underrated, amazing, incredible, and he's going to be missed for sure. April 19th, NASA's new Perseverance rover flipped all our brains inside out when it launched its own little robot helicopter, Ingenuity. Or is it Ingenuity? Do you say Ingenuity or Ingenuity? It's Ingenuity, innit, Governor? The flight of the Ingenuity became the first ever powered flight taken from a planet other than Earth. NASA has been flying high off many of their recent successes, as well as the knowledgeably excited way in which Neil deGrasse Tyson communicates these successes to the big, dumb old American public. It almost helps us briefly forget the otherwise ludicrous time in which we live. Done it. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Why? Why was that the accent we went with? No reason. No reason whatsoever, except that I am a consummate professional. And that Snoop Dogg fellow really knew what he was talking about. Vis-a-vis gin with juice in it. On April 25th, hundreds of boys and men named Josh all gathered to Nebraska, of all places, to beat each other with pool noodles over the right to be declared the official Josh of all Joshes. Thus, the first ever Battle of Joshes commenced, and was eventually won by the little Josh on the right, who has aptly been dubbed Little Josh by the media. May his reign be long and glorious. The Josh is dead. All hail Josh. Long live the little Josh. Hopefully no one died. Hopefully there is no previous Josh who died in a pool noodle related incident. And hopefully there is no blood on the hands. Hopefully that pool noodle was red when this Josh went into the fray and not after the fact. Anyway. On April 28th, astronaut you forgot you knew about, Michael Collins, no relation to Phil, passed away at age 90. He was part of the crew of Apollo 11 during its mission to the moon. In a historically epic screw job, Collins was the only Apollo 11 astronaut to not walk on the moon. His mission was to keep Apollo 11 in orbit while the Eagle landed. While the United States returned to the moon with 5 more crewed missions, Collins himself never returned, never got the chance. You know, if I were Michael Collins, I would be a little bit bitter. But the man never was. He never was. He recognized the fact and even said it. I mean, first of all, he said, never has there been a human, perhaps since the days of Adam, so utterly alone. That's what he said while on board the Apollo 11 capsule, the remaining capsule, by himself. So, yeah, he's there by himself, and he's like, yeah, this is freaking ridiculous. But subsequently, after the fact, he said publicly, I think he even said in his biography, that he had to do what he did in order for Neil and Buzz to do what they did. That someone had to pay that price, and he was glad that it was him. Can you imagine? Not that many people walked on the moon. And he came as close as you can get. Like, to be an astronaut in the first place, you not only have to be super smart, in top physical condition, weirdly averse to throwing up when you're in super tons of G-forces, basically afraid of nothing, and able to perform under immense pressure, like, and be super good at math and stuff. I mean, there are freaking examples like early astronaut lost contact with with Houston and had to calculate his trajectory back home, back to Earth, so that he wouldn't die in the vast blank void of space. He navigated by looking out the window, finding stars that he recognized because, he's an astronaut, and used the stars, drew a diagram on his window, and was like, okay, if I keep these stars in this position as I begin my descent into Earth's atmosphere, I will not skip off the surface like a stone on a pond and be sent flying off into the void of space, never to return. But I will actually enter Earth's atmosphere and be just fine. Like, the more you realize about what these men actually freaking did, the more you're like, my God, every single one of them is a bona fide hero. Like, there is not a single one of them that is not the absolute best of what humanity has to offer. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter which country they come from. You could say the same thing of the cosmonauts. You could say the same thing of any astronaut from any nation in any period of time ever. Like, why do you think the International Space Station works when we can't freaking get each other to, like, sit down at the diplomatic table here on Earth? It's because these guys are the best. These men and women, and of course there are women now, thank God, but like, these men and women are the absolute best of us. And by the way, I have had to defend this before. If you're one of these idiots who's like, we didn't land on the moon, know this. Number one, it has been shown why it would have been harder in 1969 to fake the moon landing with the technology that they had at the time than it would have been to actually go to the moon. You know what I'm saying? That's number one. Number two is that they took mirror arrays up to the moon and left them, and you can bounce lasers off of them, and you can calculate the time that it takes for the laser to bounce back to Earth. And that time, divided by the speed of light, is the distance from Earth to the moon. You can do that. You can verify it yourself and find out that exactly what they said was true. Also, fun fact, Russia, who had every possible reason to benefit from calling us out for faking the moon landing, never said that we faked it. They accepted the fact that we won the race to the moon. Although they won several portions of the overall space race before us, we have to acknowledge that. But also at great cost to themselves. It was certainly a cost to our boys as well. You know, I think it was Apollo 1 burned up on the launch pad. Terrible, terrible tragedy. Anyway. Regardless, also the freaking Chinese space agency, they sent a rover to the moon, which came across one of the Apollo landing sites. And the Chinese have no reason to be doing us any favors here in the, the 2000s. They have no reason to be doing us any favors, by verifying things that we claim to have done in the 60s. So, get over it. We landed on the freaking moon. The idea that anyone believes that we didn't is ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. April 29th, as the pandemic continued to spread, the number of global confirmed COVID-19 cases reached 150 million worldwide. This caused Republican lawmakers to release a statement which states, in part, "Come on, guys, this whole we hate Trump and would do anything to get back at him thing has gone on long enough. Send the virus back to China where it came from so we can get back to actively working to thwart democracy. Democrats did not respond. And if you recall not enjoying any of that, wait till you see what happened in May of 2021. My God. On May 5th, SpaceX successfully launched, flew, and landed one of its spacecraft, a feat they had tried and failed 4 previous times. NASA never brought the thing back intact. They always left pieces of it along the way, which is a problem. We've left a lot of junk in space, unfortunately. Anyway, they failed 4 previous times, a feat which is pictured on the left, that's on the right, Dingus, Braxton. Hold out your hands. You see which one makes an L? That's your left. Wait, no, flip that one. No, not both of them. No, just, they don't both make L's. One of them makes a backwards L, and that's your right hand. Oh my God, this guy. Anyway, moving on. But we're using this picture because it's funnier than any of their successes, even if it is equally phallic. On May 11th, Palestinian and Israeli tensions resulted in airstrikes and rocket fire. This military action killed several, injured many, surprised none, and will continue indefinitely. You may reprint these exact words 2 decades from now, and they would be no less applicable and sadly funny. On May 19th, legendary comedian, long known to the African American community throughout his career, but only discovered by white people after Chappelle's Show debuted in 2003, Paul Mooney passed away from a heart attack. Mooney wrote for every great black television series since Sanford and Son, and also probably wrote your favorite Richard Pryor joke. It would be difficult to name someone more accomplished and somehow less known and appreciated than Paul Mooney. May 23rd. Belarusi president of dubious veracity, and it's true. Like, is he the freaking president of Belarus? Should we accept the fact that he is in charge? Dubious. Alexander Lukashenko, pictured on the right, Braxton, catching a whiff of air straight out of Vladimir Putin's colon, betrayed the world when he gave orders to ground Ryanair Flight 4978 in order to capture dissident journalist Roman Protasevich, pictured on the right, looking like a sane and rational human. Oh, I guess on the left side, the left picture. On the right of the text, but the left picture. You know what, Braxton? I unsay what I said about you and what I said about your mother. Your mother is very fit and could easily fit inside any single family dwelling. Anyway, yes. So, where were we? Yes, Roman Protasevich, pictured on the right, looking like a sane and rational human, and hand-deliver him to Vladimir Putin. Since his widely condemned capture, Protasevich has been seen giving a statement to the Russian press while clearly under duress, was given a Twitter account which he used to tell everyone that he was not being beaten, this is factually accurate, and was able to communicate via telephone with his parents until October of this year, when he fell oddly silent and has not been heard from since. So that's not suspicious. Friggin' Putin. Swear to God sometimes. Just let him do anything, and we're like, what are you gonna do? It's Putin. On May 4th, or 24th, sorry, I can read numbers, Braxton. The 2 was there the whole time, right? And I could see it, but I just didn't say it. You're calling me a moron, is what you're saying. Chaz, we letting our writers get lippy? No, I know he's right, and I'm clearly wrong, and I'm just, obviously lashing out while the show is still on air. I'm lashing out at him, making the show unnecessarily longer and putting me to bed at an even later hour. Oh, I know this. I know all of this. And yet I'm going to let it happen. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Reset. Everyone back to 1. Here we go. All right, team, we're all in this together. Except for you, Braxton. You suck and I hate you. Fire him. Anyway, May 24th. A successful coup d'etat led by sitting chairman of the National Committee in Mali removed interim President Ba Nda from power and forced us to learn the name of Assimi Goïta, seen here looking like a wrestler in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Yet another in a long line of names of Malinese leaders we've had to learn. I mean, come on. Had to learn names of so many of these freaking guys. I mean, first, it was Daikunda Traoré and his Alliance for Democracy and Progress, as if. Then we saw them elect Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, only to see him practically pave the way for Assimi Goïta. Yes, the same one mentioned above. He successfully held military coups in 2 successive calendar years. What a guy! Who was taken from power when his cohorts briefly followed their own agreement to elect a civilian, which is how Ba Nda came to power in the first place. I mean, come on, Malinese politics. Some of us don't have time to memorize all that. For real now. Just pick a guy and stick with it. You know what? I get the feeling this Assimi Goïta fellow is going places, so maybe because he keeps popping up is what I'm saying. And his name, I can say it with like relative certainty that is how you actually pronounce it. So maybe him for a while, as long as it's not genocide, hopefully. Oh, by the way, Malian is the correct adjective form for describing a person from Mali. Malinese is objectively more fun to say, so that's what we went with. Hey, Rem, did Rem butcher the pronunciation of Malian? No, I did not. Malian, a person from Mali. How dare you, Braxton? How dare you assume I would mess it up? Also, this is the Bugs Bunny wrestler we were talking about, a.k.a. The Crusher. The writer's room be cray-cray right now. Oh, does it, Braxton? You've been enjoying some of that recently legalized cannabis? I'm on to you. I'm on to you. I read the news story. Anyway, look at this. It's the same. It's same. Does that picture even change from one to the other? It does not. It's just basically shirt on, shirt off, shirt on, shirt off. That's it. That's all I see. Otherwise, exact same guy. You know, except for this one's like white and stuff. Anyway, moving on. On May 29th, known and beloved for his hit songs Hooked on a Feelin', the one without the ooga chakas, and Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, singer-songwriter B.J. Thomas passed away in Arlington, Texas. While Thomas is gone, his legacy lives on, as evidenced by the fact that you either have Hooked on a Feelin' or Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head stuck in your head right now. Fun fact, after his popular success, Thomas immediately slipped between the Christian rock cracks and was never worth hearing again. It is true, Braxton. You hit that nail on the head. Good work. And if you hated being reminded of that, you'll really hate remembering what happened in June. Wow. You went big chief gay on this one, didn't you? Okay there, fella. I guess that's a thing. Okay. On June 1st, more corporations than ever pretended to give a crap about LGBTQ issues, which is merely a sign of the power of the LGBTQ supporting community as a consumer group, not as a viable political force for change. Difference there. This leads to a summer of pride parades led by groups of splotchy heterosexuals in rainbow-splattered corporate garb. The sellout nature of the whole thing caused actual LGBTQ activists who take on the job year-round and don't just pretend to do it in June, a notorious time of year for sales slumps, by the way, to weep openly. That's right. People who actually give a crap about LGBTQ issues were like, my God, this is worse than ever. And meanwhile, Chipotle is like, we did it. We fixed it. We got people to eat nasty burritos in June. And also we tricked people into thinking that we give a crap about anyone. But we clearly don't, because we put the sides in the tortilla. People all the time be like, oh my God, Chipotle burritos are so big. Yeah, it's true. It's like, oh my God, you can make a bigger pizza if you put the freaking like napkins and, peppers and cheese packets and just fold it all up in there and just like wrap the box in it and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you're putting the extras, you're putting the side bits in there. Come on, dude. Like, you don't put the rice and beans inside the burrito and be like, it's so big, when it's supposed to be a freaking, like, chicken or beef burrito. God dang it, Chipotle. Also, the diarrhea thing, real. Can attest. Moving on. June 2nd. General embarrassment of a human being, Benjamin Netanyahu is beaten in a fair presidential election. You can tell it was fair because he lost. Amid absolutely valid accusations of widespread and obvious corruption. This is true. This man is as corrupt as the day is long. In precisely the type of stunt you'd expect from such a specimen, he tried to pull a Trump and pretended he didn't actually lose. The man who defeated Netanyahu, Isaac Herzog, sat by and showed a general respect for the rule of law, unlike his opponent, who looked increasingly Trumpish by the day. Netanyahu is pictured on the right preparing to deploy the air pouch in his neck, which he uses to ward off predators as well as investigations into his finances. June 7th. At one of his idiotic rallies, and why is he still holding them? Who needs their ego stroked that much? I mean, other than his children. Who? The disgraced former president appeared to be wearing his pants backward. Critics quickly pointed out that in certain shots you can, in fact, see a zipper in the front. Of course, the real stories here are, number one, even Trump supporters believe he's capable of being that dumb. 2, he once paid a doctor to tell us with a straight face that this body, this one right here that you can see with your eyeballs, weighs only 239 pounds. And finally, this doctor is now in Congress, the one who is like, this is a 239-pound man. That man is in Congress. I shit you not. You can't make this up. True. On June 16th, in another fun metaphor for 2020, a giant sinkhole in Mexico grows to the size of 2 football fields, swallowing a house and 2 dogs in the process. No response was given by experts as to why we still use football fields as a standard measure for large things. June 18th. The International Cricket Conference holds its 2021 World Test Champion Final, which was played in Southampton, England, between India and New Zealand. The former and current subjects of British Crown rule faced off in a contest to see how much better they are at cricket than the nation which invented it. New Zealand won by 8 wickets, as evidenced in the either absurd or very normal, I'm American and can't be bothered to find out which, final score of India 217 and 170, New Zealand 249 and 140 divided by 2, so like 70? Or is that 140 with 2? 140 halved. I don't know. 140 and 1/2? A half wicket? I literally have no idea. The event lasted 5 days and baffled Americans entirely. June 25th. UFOs. UF-friggin-O's. And not just on some crazy uncle's blog either. Actual reports from the actual United States government and everything. Apparently, since 2004, Air Force pilots have been encountering airborne objects which cannot be identified but appear to be moving in ways that defy any natural phenomena we currently understand. So yeah, good luck with that whole pandemic thing. Apparently there are UFOs in the sky all the time. Apparently. June 29th. Unindicted war criminal Donald Rumsfeld gave up the last feeble beats of his hard, cold stone heart. Rumsfeld was best known for things like using a signing machine to sign condolence letters to families who lost soldiers needlessly in the sham of a war he invented and perpetuated. Do you remember that time when multiple human rights groups sued him personally for his role in, quote, breaches of the UN Convention Against Torture and the German Code of Crimes Against International Law? Because I sure do. That's when the United States lost any claim to moral superiority in the world. Not that we actually had a right to such claims in the past, but we thought we did, and after friggin' Rumsfeld, we couldn't pretend to have those claims anymore. We are not the moral leader in the world. We never were. Moving on. And if you thought that was ridiculous, you've clearly forgotten what happened in July. Oh, what a great month July is. Let's celebrate. On July 3rd, large sections of western Canada burned as 130 wildfires, all of which resulted from lightning strikes, swept through the region. Guess they should have swept their forest floors like the good people of Finland. You see on the bottom the way that Finland takes care of their forest floors. Like a good civilized nation, Canada did not learn. They've got that leftist Trudeau up there. So handsome, so dangerous, so forbidden. Anyway, moving on. On July 4th, 2021, America celebrated its independence from tyrants, having ousted its most recent tyrant 6 months prior. On July 5th, beloved director of Superman, The Goonies, Ladyhawke, the entire Lethal Weapon series, and Bill Murray, the Bill Murray holiday classic Scrooged, among many others, Richard Donner passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 91. Some passers-by swear they saw Donner flying away in a two-dimensional rhombus like Zod being banished into the Phantom Zone. But these passers-by later turned out to be high as a kite due to California's recent legalization of recreational marijuana. July 6th. After the results of both the C-SPAN Presidential Historian Survey and Siena College's Presidential Expert Poll are tabulated, it appears that recently ousted President Doofus, seen on the right thinking he looks presidential but actually looking more like Foghorn Leghorn, is officially ranked as the second worst president in American history according to actual experts who actually know what they're talking about. Old 45 narrowly lost the top spot to Buchanan, who basically allowed the Civil War to happen. Buchanan did not oppose slavery. He did not oppose the secession of states from the South. He was like, yeah, a civil war. Let's have one and find out what happens. And that's why he is widely regarded as the worst. Also, what the freak is with this posture? This is not normal. It's only normal if you're a giant man-sized rooster. Is Trump secretly a giant man-sized rooster? It would explain a lot. July 15th. Responding to accusations that we couldn't possibly be any worse, Americans invented macaroni and cheese ice cream, destroying any possibility that we will escape our global stereotype as pushy, loud, overweight food criminals. Sad, but true. On July 16th, and this one is sad, beloved rapper Biz Markie, the very clown prince of hip-hop, known for his hit single Just a Friend, as well as many other fine songs. He's got a lot of great albums. You really owe it to yourself to look him up if you never have. He passed away suddenly at age 50 due to complications of diabetes. If Tracy Morgan were here, he would say something hilarious about the sugars. But I have no such right. And I am very tempted to break into some Tracy Morgan and tell, you'll make every one of you pregnant. But, that would not be appropriate. We are not going to do that. But Biz Markie recorded several albums of excellent hip-hop, and the younger generation will probably remember his beatboxing segments on Yo Gabba Gabba. Truly an original, Biz Markie is yet another life in 2021 taken before its time. On July 19th, Amazon.com billionaire and richest man alive, Jeff Bezos, takes to space aboard his very phallic Blue Origin rocket. The rocket barely penetrated far enough to count as having reached outer space, without reaching far enough to establish an orbit. Millions wondered why a billionaire thought we'd be impressed by this, and Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, said the pathetic penetration by a phallic object rather reminded her of their wedding night. July 23rd. Tokyo holds the opening ceremony for the 2020 Summer Olympics. You read that right. The 2020 Summer Olympics being held in 2021. Thanks, COVID. Fortunately, there were entirely too many reports that the supposedly sex-proof beds held up for all the super attractive, super in-shape athletes from around the world who were reportedly hooking up with each other and humping each other in droves. Humans around the world felt bad for wanting to see footage of any of this humping. July 28th. The first direct observation of light from behind a black hole is reported, confirming Einstein's theory of general relativity. What this means for your horoscope is yet to be determined, because the wildly outdated Bronze Age star charts upon which your childish beliefs are founded don't account for such scientific complexity, because the people who made them would have viewed a wheelbarrow as a massive scientific achievement and could scarcely conceive of a non-geocentric universe. It's true, if you believe in astrology, your beliefs are stupid. And if you thought that was nuts, you'll be amazed to remember what happened in August of 2021. August 1st, the United States men's soccer team wins the 2021 CONCACAF Gold Cup, which is a soccer tournament against other countries, some of which are actually known for being quite good at soccer, like Mexico. Look, if you still don't understand, just look impressed and you'll be okay. August 3rd. Christiana, was it Christiana? Kristina, I think. Tsimanutskaya Why you have such difficult name, girl? Grisitsina Tsimanouskaya, a Belarusian sprinter, who is one of those Olympic athletes you feel bad for wanting to see in bed, was given political asylum in Poland because her nut job of a president wanted to force her back home following some of her critical posts on social media. Thank God we didn't give her up like Lukashenko gave up Protasevich. Tsimanouskaya can be seen on the right, knowing what she did. Oh, she know what she did. She look all kind of good as what she did. Shoo. On August 9th, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released its 6th assessment report, which concluded that the effects of human beings on climate change are now, quote, widespread, rapid, and intensifying. So, if we survive COVID-19, which is looking increasingly unlikely as a new variant pops up each week, we can all die in natural disasters as the inevitable results of climate change wreak havoc on the planet. Huzzah! August 22nd, musician Don Everly, on the right, looking like an early rock god. Half of the iconic rock and roll duo, the Everly Brothers, passed away in his Nashville home. The Everly Brothers will forever be immortalized for their songs Bye Bye Love, Wake Up Little Susie, and All I Have to Do Is Dream. If you cannot immediately recall the melodies of all these 3 songs, your life is incomplete. The Everly Brothers are only rivaled by the Scottish brotherly duo, the Proclaimers, when it comes to tight harmonies and songwriting prowess. And if you don't believe me, if you're one of those people who's like, oh, yeah, the Proclaimers, they had that 500 Miles song and nothing else. Oh, ho, ho, ho. You didn't even listen to Sunshine on Leith in its entirety, you dingus. Like, you don't even know them singing about, like, how they can say Saskatchewan without starting to stutter and how they know the difference between margarine and butter. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't know what I'm saying. You didn't listen to the full album. You don't know about Gene and getting lucky at the back of a bus. Like, you don't know anything. If you haven't listened to a Proclaimers album in its entirety, go and get any of them, literally any of them, and listen to it in its entirety, and then try and tell me whether or not it's freaking great. Because they are amazing. It's just that everyone is like, oh yeah, every song they write should be like 500 miles. You can't have every song be like 500 miles. What are you, Chumbawamba? It's ridiculous. Moving on. August 24th. Charlie Watts, the original drummer for the Rolling Stones, passed away at age 80. Not only was Watts, should be capitalized, Braxton, a lifelong member of rock and roll's most overrated band. Fact. Oh my God. Fact. Unfortunate fact. He was also an accomplished jazz drummer who was noted for his work with the jazz combos which bore his name, the Charlie Watts Orchestra, Quintet, and Tentet, respectively. Also, if you don't believe me, the Rolling Stones overrated, like, come on now. Listen to their albums. Listen to their first 5 albums. You're going to hear the same 5 songs over and over and over. Like, their album work is hit and miss at best. Till you get into, like, the mid to late 70s, and then they cranked out a couple of good ones, and then it was back into the woodshed. Like, I'm telling you, like, album-wise, they do not stand up next to the Beatles, obviously. Their main rival. They don't even stand up to The Who. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of bands from that time period. Freaking Aerosmith. You know, early Aerosmith they don't stand up to. In terms of the quality of the albums being put out. It does not compare. Also, I know that Aerosmith came along later than the Rolling Stones, but Aerosmith was starting as the Rolling Stones were putting out their greatest work. So apples and oranges are both round fruits, which make popular breakfast juices. Anyway, moving on. August 29th, Ed Asner, legendary actor with over 300 credits to his name and a lifetime of acting achievements behind him, passed away in Tarzana, California. Asner, who will forever be immortalized for his role as the main character, Carl Fredricksen, in the Pixar animated film Up, was also a lifelong political activist. He opposed U.S. foreign policy in South and Central America during the Reagan administration, and he wrote a book on the right when he was 87 years old, which was 4 years before his death. You see this? The grouchy historian, an old-time lefty, defends our Constitution against right-wing hypocrites and nut jobs. Yeah, I haven't read it. Sounds good. August 30th. The United States ham-fistedly withdrew the last of its troops from Afghanistan, ending 20 years of pointless war needlessly originated, elongated, and perpetuated by the men on the right. Biden took a lot of flack for pulling us out, but there was likely no good way to do it, and we needed to pull out because it had ceased to make sense being there after we all realized we weren't actually looking for bin Laden, but were rather engaged in toppling the Afghan government and replacing it with our own faux democratic pro-U.S. one. Like, we should have left during the Bush administration. But we didn't. He left it for Obama to do, and Obama's like, no way the first freaking black president is going to do it. And then Trump didn't do anything that was worth talking about. It didn't do anything right, you know. It's just terrible. Every freaking day was a new nightmare under his administration. And then Biden is left with holding a bag full of turds, you know. And of course it was a bag full of turds. You want to say it wasn't a bag full of turds? You're full of crap your own self. Like, it was terrible. It was a bad job by Biden. He did a crap job, but he was left a crap job by everyone who came before him. I mean, you could go all the way back to freaking Russia and blame them for some of the stuff we had to put up with in Afghanistan. Thank you very much. And if you didn't enjoy that trip down memory lane, you'll be horrified to remember what happened in September. Do you remember? The 21st night of September? On September 4th, Facebook is forced to apologize when its algorithm declared black men to be primates. After viewing a video in which a white man called 911 because he felt he was being followed by a group of black men, thousands of Facebook users were asked, "Do you want to watch more videos featuring primates?" after the video ended. That really happened. Facebook CEO and known robot in a man suit, Mark Zuckerberg, was reported as saying, "We're sorry. We didn't mean to say the things we say amongst ourselves to those of you in the non-billionaire public. Please disregard and continue to allow us to use your data in order to subvert American democracy." This freaking guy. Swear to God. Yeah, give him more money. That's a great idea. Be on Facebook. Oh, but people I know are there. Yeah. And they are the product as well. You and your data, and them and their data is the product. You don't use Facebook. It uses you. Anyway, September 7th. El Salvador becomes the first nation on earth to adopt Bitcoin as an official currency. Many have fears over Bitcoin's stability and its steep exchange rate, but one citizen was quoted as saying, "It's hard to describe the hope and joy that makes me feel that our country is the first domino to fall in this inevitable transition. What a time to be a Salvadoran. Let's hope this man is either ill-informed, delusional, or both." First domino to fall. I mean, that's what you want to be. You want to be the first domino to fall. Yeah, that's always, when good things are happening. Oh, we're the first domino to fall. Oh, look at us. Okay, September 14th. The world lost a bit of its joy and mirth when one of the funniest humans ever to walk the planet, Norm Macdonald, passed away following a long, unreported bout with leukemia. Macdonald continued to be hilarious during the years of his physical decline, even recording his hilarious Hitler's Dog, Gossip, and Trickery, a stand-up special that you should see. It's on Netflix. Anyway, he recorded that, 36 episodes of his Norm Macdonald live podcast, and 10 episodes of Norm Macdonald Has a Show on Netflix, and he also lent his voice to numerous credits during this time, including something like 46 episodes as the Pigeon in Mike Tyson Mysteries, and he remains the greatest SNL Weekend Update anchor of all time. Fight me. I'm serious. There is no one funnier. This man was the best. There will never be another. Also on September 14th, in a move that reminded us that we have other worries in the world than the ever-present threat of death by COVID, North Korea launched a few missiles which landed just outside Japan, just to show that they could. In their press brief following the launch, they threatened to, quote, sink Japan and turn the U.S. to ashes and darkness. Hours later, South Korea launched its first submarine-based ballistic missile just to prove that it could. People paid attention for a moment before realizing that they can't be more afraid of death than they currently are and proceeded to not care. September 15th. The United States, United Kingdom, and Australia reached a trilateral pact which will allow Australia to build its own nuclear submarines. This pact upset the French, who were shocked at not being invited despite dropping several hints at wanting to be included, and having released multiple press statements simply reading, ahem, in an attempt to reach the notice of the involved countries. Sad to say, we will not get to tell jokes about the French submarine Lasorda being full of semen for the foreseeable future. Lasorda is full of semen. Lasorda is it's a funny French term for penis. Moving on. September 21st. See, Braxton, you explain the joke, and then haha ensues. That's why I need that Captain Haha chair that I'm talking about. You hear me, Chaz? Captain Haha, that's me. Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons, Captain Haha, don't forget it. September 21st, Melvin Van Peebles, world-famous actor, director, composer, novelist, and playwright, passed away at age 89. Van Peebles was best known for his 1971 blaxploitation masterwork, Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, which he produced, wrote, directed, starred in, edited, and composed the score for. The film's dedication reads, "This film is dedicated to all the brothers and sisters who have had enough of the man." The seminal ending of the film shocked black audiences who were surprised to see a black man on film getting away with anything. And I'm not kidding, that's actually true. Which is why many say that this was not actually a blaxploitation movie, though it was in the style that we come to call blaxploitation, that type of cinema. Anyway, but yeah, black audiences saw a black man actually get away with it, and they were like, my God, it is a whole new day. And look at him right there selling that. Is a total badass selling that badass film. It's true. September 25th. A cryptocurrency trading hamster beat Warren Buffett and the S&P 500 in investing. The hamster received a 20% return on his investments, while Buffett and the S&P struggled to reach a 5% return. This news terrifies those of us who don't understand investments because it proves to us that nobody else does either. Our money is fake and could fall apart at any moment. September 26th. Germany held its first federal election without longtime chancellor and international hottie Angela Merkel, marking the first election since 2005 to not be graced by her steady hand and piercing blue eyes. Olaf Scholz, noted Mr. Magoo impersonator and former vice-chancellor to Merkel, was able to form a coalition government, becoming the new chancellor following an election which saw entirely too many members of the far-right Alternative für Deutschland elected to seats in the Bundestag. Or is it Bundestag? My German is not very good. You're going to have to forgive me. I don't actually sprechen the Deutsche. I wish I could. That's my motherland. It's where my ancestors came from. Deutschland. I wish I could spreche the language, but I can't. It's too hard for me. Anyway, we should all get nervous when German politics shift to the right. Am I right? You know I'm right. September 29th. Artist Jens Hanning returned 2 blank canvases to the museum, which had paid him $84,000 to paint 2 original works on the aforementioned canvases. He declared his new work to be titled Take the Money and Run. The museum, which is still not satisfied with the artist's explanation, is displaying the blank canvases anyway. In response, those of us who don't understand modern art have never been more ready to say, "How can that be art? I'm not artistic and I can do that." I have placed an image of the paintings on the right. Or have I? You'll never know. How could you tell? If I put them there, if I didn't, how would you know? And if you didn't enjoy that trip down memory lane, you'll be horrified to remember what happened in... It's a spooky month. October 1st. The 2020 World Expo kicks off in Dubai. Originally postponed due to COVID-19, the event is scheduled to take place over 6 months and focus on issues of opportunity, mobility, and sustainability. The organizers of the event, who are apparently immune to irony, had trouble navigating past the abandoned supercars through the artificial palm tree-shaped man-made island and into one of the mostly empty skyscrapers in which the event was being held. They then proceeded to enjoy a light lunch which consisted mostly of lies and their own fart fumes. And they proceeded to enjoy light conversation about how much the room smelt like roses. Also on October 1st, a man in full ninja regalia who was brandishing a sword attempted to attack an Army Special Operations unit stationed in California. They quickly and easily tased his ass and took him into custody. The lesson, as always, is that martial arts are a great tool for discipline, but aren't really applicable wherever modern weapons are available. If you're ever magically transported back to a time when everybody's kung fu fighting, then yes, your kung fu fighting skills will get you far. But if anyone owns a freaking knife or gun or taser or anything of the sort, you're freaking done. You know what I'm saying? Like an overweight nerd with a drone could take you out these days. So martial arts, discipline, not actually useful in attack type situations. On October 3rd, the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists releases a damning report called the Pandora Papers, which confirms everything we've always thought about rich people. They're super corrupt, and they don't play by the same rules we do, and they do everything they can to not pay taxes. The papers named a number of world leaders, public officials, and billionaires, all of whom we have long suspected of being wildly corrupt without having any of the evidence to prove it. Now that we have the proof, international courts vow to keep supporting the people who brought them to power in the first place, and the wealth gap plans on growing immensely as a result. As a concerned observer, I can't help but point out the fact that guillotines still exist. Did you know that? Guillotines. It's a viable option. I'm just putting it out there. Just have we tried guillotines is all I'm saying. On October 6th, the World Health Organization fully endorses Mosquirix, the world's first malaria vaccine. This is big news if you come from one of those unfashionable poor countries where people still die from malaria in droves. I actually lived in one of those countries for a while. I lived in Cambodia. People die from malaria every day. And so this is amazing. This is wonderful. Science is incredible. They developed a malaria vaccine at the same time that we really needed a COVID vaccine. Do you understand? Like the miracle of science in which we live. Thank God for science. And when I say God, I say Emmylou Harris. Because obviously Emmylou Harris has everything to do with science. She has more to do with science than Yahweh. Anyway, moving on. October 8th, the Czech Republic holds its legislative elections, which is usually not the sort of thing you'd notice or care about, even if you live in the Czech Republic. But this year's election was marked by, and we swear we didn't contact Dave Barry to make this up for us, victories for a political alliance which is called Pirati a Starostov. I don't know what a Czech accent sounds like. Do you know what a Czech accent sounds like? Was that close? Was that in the ballpark? I have no idea. Which translates to pirates and mayors. So you could say that pirates and mayors had a big year, and while you would absolutely sound like a member of a chorus in a Gilbert and Sullivan production, you would also not be incorrect. Also, take a moment to enjoy the picture on the right. Can you guess which one is a self-identified mayor and which one is a self-identified pirate? I didn't make any of this up. This is 100% real. Pirates and mayors. I'm not kidding. It's like, thank you, reality. October 15th. Christchurch, New Zealand decided to take its wizard off the payroll. He had been receiving an annual salary of $16,000 a year since 1998. Nothing more need be said about this story, as there cannot possibly be any curiosity about it. Who is the wizard? Who cares? Does he actually think he can do magic? Why ask? How did he come to be the official wizard of Christchurch? Who knows? Why did they put him on the payroll? Why even bother asking? This story is nothing but a dull sandwich made by a dull person for their dull significant other's dull lunch at their dull job, all taken and wrapped in aluminum foil with the dull side showing. I would tell you that that's a picture of the actual wizard on the right, but I don't expect you to care, so I won't even bother telling you that. October 19th. Colin Powell, noted former chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and former Secretary of State, and the first black man... Hey, voice, how you doing? Not holding in there as the hours tread on and this thing gets longer and longer, and you're like, my God, I'm only in October. am I going to survive? This was a bad idea from the start, and my wife is going to have words about this. This is me, the person who, like, at step fourth wall, breaky, not Rem Pemberton, actual human with an actual wife who is going to be like, what the hell time were you up? Anyway, regardless, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to have questions to answer. And I don't have good answers. I'm telling you right now. Anyway, moving on. K. Colin Powell, Joint Chiefs of Staff, former Secretary of State, and the first black man to hold both positions, passed away at 84. He served under what we naively thought were some of the worst presidents we'd ever see in our lifetimes. Reagan, Bush, Clinton, and Bush II, Revenge of the Son of Bush. Powell was known for upholding his office with an air of dignity and class that none of his commanders-in-chief could ever achieve. Many thought that he would one day run for president, but alas, we are doomed to constantly choose between delusional people who think they are actually qualified for the job, not humbly qualified people who know well enough to know that they aren't. October 22nd, actor Peter Scolari, whose career included numerous film and TV credits, as well as successful runs in the hit Broadway shows Hairspray, Wicked, and Bronx Bombers, outlived his allotted days on Earth, but will apparently never outlive the fact that he was the other guy, the one who wasn't Tom Hanks in Bosom Buddies. There will never be another human being quite so famous for not being Tom Hanks. October 22nd, Spanish authors Antonio Mercero, Spanish authors Antonio Mercero, Agustin Martinez, and Jorge Diaz shocked the world when they revealed that the reclusive mystery author Carmen Mola, with not even... Look, I spent the summer in España. This is how they talk in España. I was in Barcelona. And so now I have this accent, and it's very sexy. Oh, it's so sexy when people speak like this. Hello, you. I see you over there at the bar looking at me. Yes, I would like to buy you a drink. Anyway, K. They shocked the world when they revealed that reclusive mystery author Carmen Mola was not even a real person, but was, in fact, the invention of the aforementioned authors, all of whom wrote novels in Mola's name and contributed to the fabrication of Mola's entire existence. Okay, stop it with the stupid lisp. I already have a lisp. Anyway, regardless. These three men invented a woman who was supposedly a reclusive mystery writer, and they made her up entirely, like 100% hoaxified her as a person, and people were like, oh, I love Carmen Mola. She's like a reclusive, awesome mystery writer. Meanwhile, it was these three freaking guys actually writing the books and creating the story about the author's very existence in the first place. So, yeah. Confused as to why anyone would do such a thing, the women of the world sat back, still confident in the fact that it took three men to even believably claim to do what one of them actually could do if they put their mind to it. October 31st. While they mostly stayed home in 2020 due to COVID concerns, the nation's sexy women took to the streets once more on Halloween 2021. While the nation's sexy women urged the rest of us not to judge them for how they dress on this, the sluttiest night of the Gregorian calendar, and most of us didn't, the nation's perverts continued to do what they always do. Appreciate the one night of the year in which they can get all their needs met without needing an internet connection. This year's Sexy Versions of Otherwise Innocuous Things competition included many odd entrants, such as the following. Sexy Ronald McDonald, because there's nothing quite like being horrified and turned on at the same time. This costume has been awarded the Sean Locke Memorial Award for Most Challenging Wank. Wait a minute. I didn't say that Sean Locke passed away. Sean Locke died in 2021. He's a hilarious comedian. He's great. Why don't I have Sean Locke on the list? Braxton, Sean Locke. He did 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. He's hilarious. He's amazing. Anyway, Sean Locke. Highly recommended. Sexy Play-Doh. Oh, and I'm the weird one for trying to roll you into a ball between my hands. Sexy Corn. But you won't go the extra step and roll yourself in salt and butter. Pass. Sexy Grinch. Because there's no time like Halloween to trot out a slutty version of a beloved Christmas character. By the way, I love Christmas, but there's nothing I hate more than seeing Christmas stuff outside the month of December. Sexy Snapchat filter, because we should all be forced to see the real-world version of the web-based thing we didn't want to see in the first place. Also, I'm only, reasonably certain that this is Snapchat. Is that WhatsApp? I don't know. I don't have any of those. But I know that Snapchat lets you put a dog face on your face, so I went with it. Sexy inflatable sex doll, because Inception, that's why. And sexy whatever the frick this is. The costume description reads, Bar Club DS DJ Singer Top Go-Go Dance Hi-Hat Sexy Costumes Cosplay Weird. So I still have no idea what this is, and I'm afraid to ask. Fun fact, the costume description, and this is true, I found this costume online. I looked it up. I was like, what the hell is this? But it says it's unisex. So guys, Halloween next year? Okay, note. If you think I'm slut-shaming just because these women are showing off their bodies, I'm not. I'm all for women's right to wear what they want without having to endure the slings and arrows of rape culture, but these costumes are, number one, objectively ridiculous. Number two, all appear in the Google image search results when you type weird, sexy costumes into the Google image search bar. And number three, most of these costumes include both the words sexy and the word weird in their respective descriptions on the websites that sell them. Call things what they are and live your life, but don't be surprised when other people call things what they are as well. And if you thought that was a load of hooey, it was nothing compared to what happened in November. November 1st. Despite a brief period in which we all decided, hey, we can all start acting like this thing is over, right? The number of confirmed global deaths due to COVID-19 surpassed 5 million. Congressional Republicans were quoted as saying, "Good thing I got the vaccine literally as soon as it was humanly possible to do so, and then spent the last 4 months convincing my constituents that the vaccine is a devil serum that will swell their testicles to basketball size and give Bill Gates the power to track them electronically." Congressional Democrats, on the other hand, despite enjoying a rare majority, failed at accomplishing anything in such a way that it made failure look like their intended goal. And God just sat in his heaven and acted like his shit didn't stink either. That's what I'm saying. Moving on. On November 7th, beloved actor Dean Stockwell died at age 85, stranding Scott Bakula in the body of a black man sitting at a whites-only lunch counter during segregation, which was an actual episode. And by the way, not only was it an actual episode, it was the default ending of every episode for which they had not already filmed the opening scene of the next episode, if you know what I'm talking about. Because every episode Scott Bakula ends up in a different body in another time and place, and he's someone new and trying to accomplish something new for that person, and so that he could quantum leap again, hence the name of the show. And like, whenever they didn't have the beginning of the next episode, which is how every episode ended, was showing the beginning of the next episode, showing what the next leap, what the next quantum leap was going to be. The stock one that they would always use was him as a black man sitting at a whites-only lunch counter in the South during segregation. Fact. You could check me on that. I have watched Quantum Leap. It is fantastic, and I love it, but that is true. In retrospect, we never gave Quantum Leap enough credit for taking on hard issues. I mean, in one episode, Al literally tells Sam to look in the mirror, and he sees himself in the body of a chubby special needs kid. True. Like Down syndrome kid. Then they proceeded to carry the rest of the episode with tact and care, teaching valuable lessons along the way. Honestly, why didn't we just give that show all the Emmys? It's like, oh, Quantum Leap exists? Let's give it all the Emmys. For real. On November 9th, former Georgia senator and veteran who lost 3 limbs in the Vietnam War, Max Cleland, passed away in his Atlanta, Georgia home. Cleland was the recipient of both the Silver and Bronze Stars for valorous actions in combat. He was also the recipient of vicious ad hominem attacks from his Republican opponents. In a 100% real attack ad, Saxby Chambliss openly questioned Cleland's patriotism and also showed the senator's picture alongside images of Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein. This is true. This is factually accurate. That happened. Like, oh, I don't know if this guy's a patriot. He gave, like, 2/3 of his body to America. Like, come on. Hold the frick up. Anyway. Yeah. So if Donald Trump knew who Cleland was, and he probably didn't, he likely would have stated that he preferred veterans who kept their arms and legs. You know, like he did with John McCain, like, oh, I like guys who didn't get captured. Oh, my God. We elected that guy. We almost elected that guy twice. What the hell is wrong with us? On November 14th, after assuming that such things were simply mythical tales from the Bible, Egyptians were surprised to be smitten by a plague of scorpions, which killed 3 and injured hundreds more. The scorpions were roused from their hidey holes and sent to inflict torture on Egypt when heavy dust storms hit the area earlier in the week. Here in Arizona, we just accept scorpions as part of our everyday lives and try our best not to step on them. That's actually true. November 21st, Chile holds its general election. The center-right Chile Vamos coalition were the big winners of the parliamentary election, with the left-wing Apruebo Dignidad coalition trailing them by Apruebo Dignidad? Am I saying that even remotely correctly? Coalition trailing them by nearly 5% in terms of legislative seats won. Of course, the main event was the presidential election, in which the left-wing Convergencia Social candidate Gabriel Boric, pictured on the right with a clear Billy Mays-esque dye job on both his hair and beard, soundly defeated the radical right-wing candidate Jose Antonio Cast. On November 25th, in a move that some have termed cute, Great Britain finally got around to surpassing the 10 million mark when it comes to confirmed COVID-19 cases. Of course, the United States passed that mark more than a year before Great Britain even got around to copycatting it. USA! 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 Wait, are there still enough of us left alive to chant? Who cares? USA! USA! November 25th. Due to a looming maple syrup shortage, Canada releases 50 million gallons of maple syrup from its federal strategic maple syrup reserves, is declared to be 2020-2001's champion in the annual Most Canadian Sentence in the World contest. The sentence, which describes something that actually happened in 2021, narrowly beat out last year's champion sentence. "I've been out there watching Gordy fight a moose with a broken goalie stick over the last case of Molson's and an autographed Don Cherry jacket, eh?" It's a pretty Canadian sentence. Also, for you Americans, Don Cherry, look at him. He's a dapper gent. And he doesn't like European players or face masks. We know this. Anyway, November 20th, he thinks European players are soft. That's just trust that it's a Canadian thing that Canadians will understand, like poutine. Anyway, November 26th, Stephen Sondheim, an absolute legend of a human being whom we all suspected of being some sort of demigod sent from Olympus to bless us all, passed away at age 91. Sondheim's musicals include many of your favorites: West Side Story, which he wrote lyrics to. He didn't write the music to, but he did write the lyrics to. A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Company, A Little Night Music, Sweeney Todd, Sunday in the Park with George, Into the Woods, and many others. Everything there except for West Side Story, he wrote book and lyrics. Or music and lyrics. Sorry. And his impact on Broadway cannot be calculated. Sondheim's musicals also gave several Broadway greats their best-known and loved roles, including but not limited to Bernadette Peters, Mandy Patinkin, Patti LuPone, Elaine Stritch, Merle Louise, and too many others to name. On the day he passed, he was still working on a new show. The word legend struggles to adequately describe him. Left a giant Stephen Sondheim-shaped hole in our hearts when he passed. True. On November 30th, Barbados became the world's newest republic as the Caribbean nation ended its allegiance to the British Crown, which it had been under since King James I in 1625, which is actually the same year that King James I passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Fun fact, King James I was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and ruled as James IV of Scotland before uniting the kingdoms in 1603. And he was the first of the Stuart line. Do you care about this? No. Do I? Yes. And I can't explain why. One of the first official acts carried out by the nation's first president, Sandra Mason, was to declare Rihanna, yes, that Rihanna, a national hero. See the image on the right. As of yet, there is no word as to whether or not President Biden intends to declare Lizzo a national hero, but he damn well should. I mean, Lizzo. You don't love Lizzo, you're wrong. And if you thought that was lousy, there's just one more month of this nonsense. Thank God, I really need to end. The time almost starts with a 6. I started this so long ago. December. Yes. Thank the Maker. On December 6th, the United States announced that it would hold a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing, China, Due to China's many human rights violations, and especially their ostensible ethnic cleansing of the Uyghur people in northern China, to say nothing of their ridiculous policies toward Hong Kong, Tibet, and Taiwan. I mean, they forced John Cena to issue an apology in Mandarin for implying, he didn't even say it, he just implied that Taiwan was an independent nation. Of course, I support the internet's wonderful response to all of this nonsense, in which it has begun referring to China as West Taiwan. Feel free to use that. That's from the internet, so nobody owns it until it becomes like one of those Bitcoin, I own the concept of this things. Okay, moving on. What's that called? A non-fiduciary gain? A minimum capital gains fiduciary? I don't know. I don't know what those things are called. Anyway, moving on. The boycott is likely to have little to no impact, even though Canada, the UK, and Australia added similar boycotts of their own following the United States. Why is there going to be little impact, you ask? Well, the athletes from the aforementioned nations will still be competing. And we all know that's the only part of the Olympics any of us care about. We know that there's some diplomatic stuff that goes on behind the scenes, but we don't care. They don't show like, oh my God, look at all these world leaders sitting at a big frick round table. Like, they don't show that crap during the Olympic triple cast. They don't. They show way too much figure skating, not enough curling and hockey. We know this. We know this. I love Adam Rippon. I want to see him on every show. You could just put him in every show, and I will be happy. Just him and Billy Eichner running through the streets together, hand in hand. I would watch that for days. But you know what? I don't like figure skating, and I don't want to see it. I want to see hockey and curling. Thank you. December 10th. In a classy move that is sure to convince his detractors how good a leader he can be, Donald Trump publicly railed against Benjamin Netanyahu for circulating a video in which Netanyahu congratulated Joe Biden on his victory in the 2020 election. Among several other inane ramblings from his feeble mind, Trump was quoted as saying of Netanyahu, "I haven't spoken to him since. Fuck him." He also falsely claimed, "I tell you what, had I not come along, I think Israel was going to be destroyed." The entire world heard these words and chose not to believe any of them. Instead, we all collectively wondered why the hell Trump would still be rambling about his big lie, the commonly accepted term for his false claims of widespread fraud in the 2020 election. In reality, there was very little fraud, and the majority of it was on the Republican side. In December 2021, when he so clearly lost the election in 2020. Yeah, why is he still complaining about it in December of 2021 when we all know he lost more than a year prior? Then we all remembered that he's banned from Facebook and Twitter, and we all laughed aloud as one. Oh yes, we all shared a hearty chortle. December 11th, Anne Rice, the prolific novelist and author of the Vampire Chronicles, every volume of which is a zillion times more interesting and coherent than any of the Twilight novels, passed away at age 80. Continuing an odd trend of people dying at oddly specific ages. Charlie Watts at 80, Marky Post at 70, D.T. Thomas at 70, Michael Collins 90, DMX 50, G. Gordon Liddy 90, Jessica Walter 80, Rush Limbaugh 70, Jessica McClintock 90, George P. Schultz 100, Sir Thomas More 100, and Desmond Tutu 90. One would almost suspect a conspiracy to end notable lives at ages which are divisible by 10. In addition to her vampire fiction, Rice also wrote historical fiction, Christian historical fiction, fantasy, and she even wrote a quartet of erotic novels so lewd they make E.L. James, author of 50 Shades of Grey, look like Emily Post. They're called the Sleeping Beauty Quartet, published under the pseudonym A.N. Roquelaire. I speak the French, clearly. Roquelaire. For those who are interested. But seriously, those books are dirty, filthy. Like a fellow librarian, when I was a librarian briefly in a public library, was like, yeah, you can tell that people are just sort of going with trends when they check out 50 Shades of Grey, but when they check out any of the Sleeping Beauty Quartet, you can tell that they are into some serious kink. Like, and I was like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, I did read that Anne Rice novel in which freaking sexually active eunuchs, castrati, the tenors who sing with the very high voices because they're castrated. This is a practice back in, times when you could chop off a boy's huevos and people would be like, yeah, to preserve his unnaturally high voice. Yeah. Anyway, apparently women enjoyed having these castrati around because you could have sex with them all day and they wouldn't ever get you pregnant. So she wrote that book. So when I was told like, oh yeah, she wrote some filthy stuff, I'm like, it makes sense. Makes sense. I don't remember the name of that book, like Voices to Heaven or something like that. Anyway, regardless, crazy stuff. Read some Anne Rice. It's good for you. Interview with a Vampire at the very least. December 20th, 2021. On this date in 1996, 25 years ago to the day, I saw Weezer perform live at the Electric Ballroom in Tempe, Arizona, my first concert ever. They were touring in support of their album Pinkerton, which true fans will remember was critically panned at the time. It was named one of the year's worst by the often wrong Rolling Stone magazine. But fans loved every freaking track. We knew what was happening. Critics have since come to realize how wrong they were, and Pinkerton is now widely considered Weezer's best album, though I still prefer the Blue Album because it's the one that cracked my mind open like an egg and said, other things are possible. Please discover music. And I was like, yes, mighty overlords, I will discover all the great music in the universe. Thank you. And it was all because of Weezer. Like, we all have our light switch that turns us on to the possibilities in the world. And Weezer was mine. And so I know that, like, yes, there's that Saturday Night Live sketch, which is kind of accurate. I know a lot of Weezer fans or former Weezer fans who are like, they were awesome and now I hate them and please tell them to stop. But like, I'm like, they can do no wrong in my eyes, honestly. But yeah, December 20th is not a national holiday or anything, but it changed my life. It absolutely did. Weezer was then and remains my all-time favorite band. That is factually accurate. Also, fun thing, an Irish band called Ash opened that show for Weezer. They are fantastic and quite a big deal in their home nation. Like, you say Ash in Ireland and people are like, oh, holy frick, those guys are huge. But I saw them in tiny venues with like me and my friends as the only people there because I went to see them every single time that they ever came through Arizona. Anyway, but yeah, Dave Grohl is an Ash fan. He thinks they're awesome. So if you like, honestly, they're very similar to the Foo Fighters. So if you like Foo Fighters, listen to some Ash. You'll be surprised. Anyway, December 23rd. Hardcore Mormons the world over celebrated the birth of the true star of the religion, Joseph Smith. As a noted philanderer, convicted fraud, and inventor of creative fiction, Smith was the clear favorite to emerge as a rock star in the world of the burnt-over district fundamentalist sects. Coming in close second was John Humphrey Noyes, founder of the uber-fun Oneida Brethren, who believed in communal marriage, meaning everyone is married to everyone else's wife, which quickly devolved into Christian-themed orgies. That is factually accurate. The surviving members of that sect founded the Oneida Corporation, which makes high-quality kitchen utensils. I shit you not. You probably have one in your kitchen right now. Also, coming in dead last is Mother Ann Lee, who believed herself to be the living embodiment of Jesus and taught that sex was no longer allowed. Guess why her sect didn't last? No. Go ahead. Guess. Could it be that celibacy is not hereditary? And that human beings don't want to live without sex, even if it means eternal salvation? Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, sorry, Mother Ann Lee. Anyway, Joseph Smithmas is not an official Mormon holiday, but it's fun to say, and I actually do, in fact, know Mormons who commemorate the day. I wouldn't say celebrate, but they mark the day, and they're like, Joseph Smithmas. Happy Joseph Smithmas. Anyway, December 25th, 2021, millions of Christians around the world celebrated the date that Pope Julius I declared to be the day that Jesus' birth, in an attempt to counteract all the sweet pagan festivals which also occur at winter solstice. Fun fact. If you had a Christmas tree, gave gifts, sat around a crackling fire, drank alcohol, had a holly wreath, kissed anyone under the mistletoe, used green and red as festive colors, took part in a sing-along, or lit candles, except for those used for Hanukkah, or Hanukkah, of course, you were keeping old pagan traditions and which were appropriated by Christians as your pagan ancestors were forced to adopt Christianity in the 4th century A.D. Even more fun fact, biblical experts don't know when Jesus was born, but they are confident it wasn't December 25th. If the biblical text is to be trusted, Jesus was likely born in the spring or early summer. So keep that in mind. December 31st, 2021, I, Rem Pemberton, will gather with family, the Clemson Pembertons, and friends, those deemed worthy of a Pemberton party, a party which don't stop until Mother starts slurring her words. Having learned nothing from the preceding 143 slides, no wonder it took this long, my God. This is stupid. I definitely shouldn't do this next year. Either that or I should start writing earlier. Anyway, I will ring in the new year, then ring in a new year, my idiot of a heart brimming with hope that 2022 will, by its mere not being 2021, solve all the world's problems and bring peace to the universe like some sort of wild stallion song. No closure. The end. This program was made possible by the Igneous and Gertruldina Buttcomer Foundation and by viewers like you. Promotional considerations provided by Ralph Morgan's Extra Strangly Snakes, the Lonely Ass Librarians Guild, Grandpappy True Reels, Foul-Smelling Balms and Gruels, and the one and only True God. This program was directed and performed by Rem Pemberton. Doesn't this make you wish mint chip ice cream were actually real, Rem? I actually had Snickers ice cream. It's pretty good. Written by Braxton White Guy, who is having a good time right now. Theme song by the Out of Tuners. A little more out of tune than usual, fellas. A presentation of Non-Sober Badger Productions, a subsidiary of the large, boring-sounding corporation with surprisingly questionable business practices, Lawful Asset Holdings Incorporated. A branch of the intentionally vague corporation whose purpose may never be known, the Blaine Group. And communism. It's not dead yet, suckers. This week's lucky listener weekend getaway giveaway goes to Cirillo Cy Piccirilli. Picture of him. I've never done that before. Cirillo Cy Piccirilli. Wait, is Cy the guy who owned the tool and die that cut a custom die for that other guy? What's his name? Oh, yeah, the Sultan of Brunei. Anyway, this die was in the shape of that Sultan guy's left thigh. When I asked why, Cy said, I had to try, but I didn't ask why, because why ask why when the price is that high? Anyway, great tool and die company. Good guy, that Cy. Oh, same guy, huh? Small world. Cirillo Cy Piccirilli, you're heading to scenic downtown Davenport, Iowa, where you'll stay at the fabulous Travelodge and dine at the lovely Davenport Cracker Barrel, where real crackers eat, just off the interstate. I was going to look up the number, and then I was like, why? Someone in Davenport going to be like, hey, that's the interstate that runs through Davenport. You do, in fact, if you live in Davenport, that is the actual Travelodge, and that is the actual Cracker Barrel in your hometown, so whoopee hooray. Yep, that's it, people. That is it. Holy Moses. That took entirely too long, and now I've got to go to bed. I've got a long day of being in trouble with the missus ahead of me. Please pray for me. Send all of your thoughts and prayers. Stick pins in voodoo dolls. Kill chickens. Freaking burn incense. Whatever it is you do religiously, do some of that. We'll see. We'll see if any of it works. All right, people, that's it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay. Bye.